You trust the Michelin stars, the white gloves, the whispering waiters, the promise that a tiny symbol beside a name means world-class. But would you trust it if you knew it came from a tire company? Picture this: mud-splattered roads in 1900s France, two brothers with warehouses full of rubber tires, and a country with barely 3,000 cars to wear them out. They needed people to drive, not because travel was romantic, but because tires wear out faster when you move. So they printed a guidebook. A red one. Inside were maps, repair shops, and eventually, restaurants. Not because they loved cuisine. Because they loved customers. The Michelin brothers realized something simple: if you give people a reason to travel, you give them a reason to consume. Over the years, the guide's power grew quietly. It stopped being about where to eat, and started defining how to eat. A few stars on a page could turn an empty room into a destination, a modest chef into a global name. Think of the last time you paid too much for dinner. The lighting. The hush. The way the plate arrived like theater. You weren't just paying for taste, you were paying for proof you belonged there. That feeling wasn't accidental. It was engineered. The Michelin Guide didn't invent hunger. It invented appetite as a performance. They couldn't make you hungry. But they could make you drive to feed yourself. And a century later, that tire company still decides what the world calls excellence. They just stopped mentioning the rubber. In 1926, the Michelin brothers made a quiet but calculated choice: stop giving the guide away for free. Charge for it instead. Free things have no value. Paid things become investments people defend. This was the beginning of scarcity as leverage. They didn't just want travelers, they wanted hierarchy. So they invented stars, symbols that could never be bought, only earned. 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, each a promise of rarity and privilege. The guide stopped suggesting. It started commanding. Once you paid for it, you needed it to be right, or you'd wasted money on bad advice. Now look at Eugenie-les-Bains. In 1977, the village had 400 residents and dirt roads. Then Michel Guérard's restaurant earned 3 stars. Within 5 years, paved highway, luxury hotels, 50,000 tourists annually. Michelin hadn't reviewed geography, they'd rewritten it. Have you ever avoided a restaurant simply because it had no stars? Not because the food might have been bad, you never tasted it. Absence of symbols felt like evidence of mediocrity. It wasn't flavor you chased. It was proof of discernment, evidence that you could recognize what others couldn't. The stars didn't just mark restaurants. They marked you as someone with taste, a member of a club most people couldn't access. Every time you check ratings before choosing, scanning for stars, symbols, badges, that's Michelin's architecture still running. You learned to read menus. You also learned what menus are worth reading. Secrecy isn't a quirk, it's the control mechanism. You can't game a system whose rules you'll never see. You can only obey, and hope someone notices you obeying correctly. The system's genius isn't in critiquing food, it's in making you crave validation more than flavor. And once that switch flips in your brain, there's no going back. Only forward, into deeper hierarchy. Michelin stars must be earned, never bought. But the criteria? Those remain invisible. Take El Bulli in Spain, Ferran Adrià's laboratory of molecular gastronomy. Michelin delayed awarding 3 stars, not because the food wasn't exceptional, but because it didn't fit invisible templates. When the stars finally came, Michelin never explained why. The rules bent, silently. Chefs run kitchens under impossible conditions. Inspectors might visit once, twice, or never in a year. They won't know until after the decision. You can't prepare. You can't perform. You can only maintain impossible standards every day, forever, hoping today is the day that counts. Mistakes aren't forgiven, they multiply into reputational risk, unseen but real. A 2008 Stanford fMRI study shows why diners also play their part. Participants tasting identical wine labeled $10 versus $90 had stronger reward responses for the expensive version. This price perception loop shapes chefs too. They chase invisible expectations, knowing diners have been trained to taste the price tag rather than the plate. The same system propagates. Each price increase after a star, each 6-month waitlist, each food critic citing Michelin rankings reinforces the hierarchy. It's no longer controlled by inspectors, it's cultural infrastructure, self-sustaining. Bernard Loiseau lived this reality. In 2003, rumors of a potential downgrade, not the downgrade itself, pushed him past breaking point. Now, imagine yourself at the head of the kitchen. The criteria remain unknowable. The consequences, devastating and sudden. Every decision compounds pressure. Every action echoes through diners, competitors, and critics. You're not just cooking, you're navigating an unseen gauntlet. The real question, if you understood the psychological cost, the burnout, the impossible standards, the careers destroyed by anonymous judgment, would you still trust the stars? Or would you finally trust your own mouth instead? A 3-star restaurant in Paris operates with razor-thin margins. Labor, decor, and service choreography consume 68% of revenue. Food costs add another 42%. The math doesn't work. 110% of revenue spent before rent, utilities, or profit. Most Michelin-starred kitchens operate at a loss, surviving only through corporate sponsorships, brand partnerships, or the chef's celebrity status. Prestige masks fragility. The stars don't sustain restaurants, they pressure them. The human toll is systemic. Between 2003 and 2023, at least 7 Michelin-starred chefs died by suicide or suffered severe mental health crises. Benoit Violier in Switzerland, 2016. Homero Cantu in Chicago, 2015. The pattern isn't isolated, it's structural. After Violier's death, Michelin released a 2-sentence statement expressing sympathy. No investigation into evaluation practices. No reform of anonymity protocols. Just continued judgment from the shadows. The economic burden compounds invisibly. Maintaining 3-star standards costs euro 40,000, 80,000 monthly in labor alone, often for kitchens serving only 30 diners per night. Chefs hire double the staff needed for actual service, line cooks standing idle, waiting to execute perfectly during a visit that may never arrive. Meals are prepared and discarded nightly as practice runs. Waste is the system's hidden tax. Diners perpetuate the cycle unknowingly. A 2023 consumer behavior study found Michelin-starred meals are posted on Instagram 3.5 times more often than equivalent non-starred dishes, even when blind taste tests rated them identically. Social media amplifies anxiety, turning desire into free marketing for the hierarchy diners hope to impress. What was meant to guide taste now drives performance, competition, and social signaling. Yet the system is fracturing. Generational shifts reveal cracks. In 2024, 68% of diners under 30 trust TikTok food creators over Michelin stars. This isn't rebellion, it's evolution. What was once unquestioned power is now an observable, fragile institution, fading. Transparency has replaced secrecy. And an entire generation is watching the authority collapse. Michelin is no longer the sole arbiter of taste. TikTok and Instagram algorithms have created competing authority, one measured in shares, likes, and viral moments. Chefs now contend with algorithmic preference. A dish's success can hinge on visibility rather than culinary merit. Independent rating systems, World's 50 Best, Eater, Recette, OpenTable, operate in parallel, each with distinct criteria and audiences. Diners navigate competing signals, none universally authoritative. Direct chef-to-consumer experiences fragment authority further. Omakase tables, chef's table dinners, and private tastings bypass ratings entirely. Feedback is immediate and visible, revealing reactions in real time. Live-streamed kitchens, cooking shows, and behind-the-scenes content expose techniques, mistakes, and corrections. Transparency challenges opacity, reshaping the once-hidden hierarchy. Authority is now distributed. Some trust TikTok creators more than critics, others value traditional stars. Prestige is temporary and collectively imagined, real only because enough people agree to pretend it is real. Influence is networked, fluid, and negotiated in real time. The architecture of taste is visible. The system is exposed. What remains is choice, whose authority to trust, and why. Chefs and diners alike navigate a landscape where control is diffuse, validation is algorithmic, and prestige is contingent. Influence exists, but it is ephemeral, performative, and socially negotiated. The rules are visible now. What was once unquestioned is now examined, questioned, and selectively obeyed. Can taste be unlearned? Conditioning runs deep, palates shaped by years of ratings, stars, and curated authority. Reprogramming perception isn't impossible, but it requires conscious, repeated effort. Trusting your own judgment feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. Yet autonomy carries tangible value. Personal taste becomes authority. Dining transforms from compliance to exploration. You notice textures, seasoning balance, and subtleties previously obscured by expectation. Knowledge of the system doesn't liberate instantly, but it empowers reflection. You choose where to invest attention, which dishes to value, and how to engage with culture consciously. A new anxiety emerges. Social media, algorithms, and proliferating ratings create overwhelm. Every decision signals conformity or rebellion. Awareness multiplies responsibility rather than simplifying it. The final reflection isn't prescriptive. The architecture is clear, transparent, and active. The question is what you'll do with this knowledge. Every bite is a choice. Every choice is a vote for the system you want. Each meal becomes a micro-decision, shaping both personal experience and collective perception. Taste is no longer passive, it is intentional. The authority you recognize and the knowledge you carry create both power and responsibility. The system can be seen, now it is up to you how to participate within it.